So let's talk a little bit more about love. I'm just going to go ahead and cut to the essence of my marital discord here, because God knows we've got discord, and God knows I've learned so much from grappling with it. So I want to just share a couple of things I've learned. Our discord 101 is that we're radically different creatures, my husband and I. He's like contemplative and I'm explosive. He's thorough and careful and I'm more carefree. Every once in a while, our differences rub up against each other in the most painful of ways. Usually it's around communication style. Usually it involves, he's a straight shooter. He not flowery with his words, a masterful communicator, but not flowery. I, on the other hand, am all about the word flowers. I throw word flower about like confetti, like ticker tape parades. I love giving compliments and receiving compliments, and when I don't receive compliments, God forbid, I get so mean. I get I get really kvetchy, and I distance, and I build resentment. And there's this, and of course, God forbid somebody else should give me a compliment, and I just like let loose with this rant of like, why don't you adore me more? Which does not, I assure you, inspire adoration. And that's our basic dance of marital conflict, where he shuts down because I want more expression. He shuts down, then I shut down. Not pretty. Every once in a while, though, I am able to separate from the dance and just look at it and be like, what's going on here? And when I've done that, I've seen two things. One is that I really want my husband to like me. I want him to like me. And B is, I really want my husband to be like me. I want him to like me and I want him to be like me. And when he's not, I get really angry. I get really upset. When I see this essential gap between us, it's very disturbing to see our differences and to want it to be so different. There's this beautiful saying on the London subways, mind the gap. When it comes to Jewish wisdom's view of the ideal relationship, the sign would be mind the gap. Mind the gap. There are gaps between us as partners, but the goal is not to avoid them. The goal is to mind them and use them and learn from them. So there's a beautiful teaching in Kabbalah and Jewish mysticism from Kabbalistic mastermind, the Arizal in the 16th century, lays out this beautiful model of gap-minded marriage. And he bases it off of the stories of the creation of man in the Torah and the Bible. There's actually, interestingly, two stories, true narratives of the creation of man. In one, man is created male and female. We read male and female as this kind of one merged entity. In the second story, just a couple of lines later, though, it says that man is male. He's then put to sleep and anesthetized for the surgical uncoupling, the surgery of bringing out from him female, Eve. So beautifully, the Arizal doesn't see these as two stories. He actually sees them as one story in sequence, because love is a process. So the sequence is that first we start out in a state of enmeshment and merged as one entity. And the goal is to move from that enmeshment into two separate entities. Well, that's interesting, because usually when we think of goals in love, we usually think that it's, we're separate and we want to move into being united. That's usually, the wisdom about relationship, but not so here. The goal with Jewish wisdom view is that we start out emerged, enmeshed, and the goal is to separate. Now, when I say enmeshed, that's kind of like psychological parlance for this place where I need my partner to be an extension of myself. Or I need to be an extension of them. I'm afraid of being on my own, and so I need for them to love me, support me, have my back, take care of me, adore me. All of these like needs of my partner being part of myself that props me up in some way. And the truth is that we have deep desire to be cared for, right? It's in us all. But the goal is actually to notice when that's coming up in me. I really want my husband to compliment me so I can feel good about myself, right? To realize that that's actually not what relationship is about. The goal is to create an uncoupling, a surgical removal, a space, allowing the gap between us, allowing him to sometimes not like me and to sometimes not be like me and me not like him. What happens when we create that space is that I am then able to love myself, to learn how to self-soothe and self-care and give myself what I need and stand on my own 2 feet as opposed to needing my partner to prop me up. The space allows me to come into my own. And then once I'm in my own, then I can turn around and see, oh my God, there's this person over there, a unique individual. How about that? With his own needs and likes and loves and characteristics. And then what beautifully happens when we allow that space and we claim our own standing is that we see our partner and a naturally occurring attraction emerges, and love actually emerges. Oh, I see this unique person over here. Tell me about you. I want to know about you. Let's see what happens when we bring our differences together. And that actually is the model for holiness in relationship, is when we allow each other to be different and we celebrate those differences. We're not afraid of them. We're not hurt by them. We're not held back by the differences. We can celebrate those differences. I love it that another Jewish archetype for holiness is this idea of in the tabernacle there was the ark, and on top of the ark stood the two cherubs, and from between the two cherubs, it says in the Torah, from between the two cherubs the voice of God would emerge between them. And it's really that word, the between, which is the key to this holiness. It's between the two, the different figures, that holiness emerges, that true intimacy can happen. Because when I'm merged, we're facing away from each other. I'm never even seeing who my partner actually is. When I create the space and I can see who they are and all their uniqueness and celebrate that. And that is true holiness. That is true intimacy. And from that place of seeing the other in spaciousness, we can start to communicate and then have communion and holiness between us and intimacy. And that's the goal. So how to do this? This is the work of a lifetime. And it's good work and it's crucial. So we at the Shalev Center offer a beautiful workshop. It's called Face to Face. And we basically learn and teach tools in how to create those separations from the enmeshed state, and how to create a sense of, self-fulfilled, standing on my own 2 feet selfhood. And then from there, how to communicate and commune with our partners in holiness. So be in touch with us about learning how to do this yourself. It is holy work. It's important work, and it'll dissolve beautifully. It'll dissolve the conflicts in our relationship, so that we learn that even if my partner doesn't have to compliment me, because they are my complement. My husband is my opposite, my partner, my other, my balance. And from that balanced place is real, true holiness, love, connection, intimacy. Be in touch with us to learn how.